The Vikings win a defensive slugfest. Hello, everybody. Terry Bennett here on the Lago Vista Football Show, right here on L4 Media. As the Vikings go to 1-0 on the season after beating a very tough Burnett team 15-6. It was really 15-0, and then the Bulldogs were able to avoid the shutout with kind of a fluke play. The ball bounces off of two defenders, ends up right into the wide receiver's hands. I don't even know if he realized he caught the ball. That's how fluky it was, and then he goes the rest of the way for the touchdown. But other than that, the Vikings defense was stellar. The offense was efficient, and all in all, a great win for the Vikings to start the 2025 season. Now, though, is another tough test, of course, Waco Conley. Last year, the Cadets beat Lago Vista, I think it was like 44-21 or something like that. And once again, they are fast. They are athletic. Not quite as big as they have been in the past, size-wise, but they still have a very solid offensive line. And their quarterback, a lot of people thought Jamarian Vincent, everything would be the guy that would take most of the steps to quarterback, or at least a lot of them. But Caden Kaufman came in last week for the Cadets and threw for a couple touchdowns. And if you allow Vincent to be not under center, that allows him to do more. So they're a scary team this year, and this is going to be a great matchup. So we're going to do what we always do. We're going to take a break. When we come back, it's the head coach of the Vikings, Coach Creighton Phillips, right here on the Lago Vista Football Show on L4 Media. Here at L4 Media, we talk high school football, 4A, 3A, and 2A in Texas. We talk East Texas sports. We talk NFL, guy talk, movie, and booze. We also talk wrestling and so much more. And you can see it all on our YouTube channel at L4 Media Company. Like and subscribe. Terry Bennett back here on the Lago Vista Football Show, now joined by the head coach of the Vikings, Coach Creighton Phillips. And, Coach, first off, congratulations. A tough-fought win against Burnett. What were your thoughts on the game?
It was a good eye-opener for us. Burnett is a great opponent to open up with. I feel like, I talked to their coach after the game. It's a good matchup, They're going to be well coached. They're going to have good-sized kids that can run. We fought through some stuff. I really feel like we looked a little bit more Thursday night than Friday night at times. Just have some things to clean up, and that's kind of what the preseason is all about: is understanding where your strengths and weaknesses are, and start to really formulate who you are as a team. And certainly, if there's nuances and things that kids haven't seen because of lack of experience, then we work those into practice the next week and make sure that the kids are more prepared for the next Friday night.
Defensively, you had to be very happy. You're basically a late touchdown deflection play away from a shutout to start the season. And we talked last week about it, and you said, the defense was going to lay the foundation for this season, and it's a great start for them.
I thought so. Coach Kerry Reed, my defense coordinator, is his first ball game as a DC, and so he was pretty nervous going in. But I feel like the kids really did a good job flying around, really stuffed the run for the most part. Did a good job defending the pass. They were less than 100 yards of offense going into that kind of a little circus act of a play. I think the ball touched 3 or 4 different people before it landed in the hands of a kid that was 10 yards behind everybody else to go score. But whereas we didn't get the shutout, we still very proud of the execution of the defense and the communication. I think the kids have really bought into that. The ownership of what happens on the field is their responsibility, and they communicate what's going on out there. And they're all right together, they're all wrong together, but either way, as long as they're together, they've got a shot at stopping somebody. So we were proud of them.
Well, you talk about it being a new defensive coordinator, and I know that's a different system. Even if it's the same system, it's always going to be a little different, and for the players, it's going to be different. For you as a head coach, how is it any different with different coordinators? Do you have to kind of learn their communication patterns and such when it's in game?
Yeah, a little bit, and we not only changed DCs, he changed the defense, and so we didn't just continue with what we were doing. We changed it up of kind of what our front is from a 4-3 to a 3-4. And so there's some new verbiage and things like that, because I want to be able to, give those guys ownership as a defensive coordinator. This is, it's your job to stop these people and do it the way that you know how to do so, but I also want to be able to help. And so for me, learning how they do things and where they need an extra set of eyes or something like that, where I can be helpful without being in the way. That's always a relationship that, it just develops over time. I had the same defense coordinator and Coach Castle for 9 years, 10 years. And so, we understood each other pretty well on Friday night. So this will be a new relationship. I thought it went well. Certainly they played really well. So he wasn't looking to me for advice much. So things were going good.
Offensively, you got 340 yards of total offense. I think y'all had 18 or 19 first downs. Y'all did have a couple turnovers or a turnover. What was the good and the bad of the offense in this first game?
I thought the things that we expected to be good at, we were almost there. I think certainly always third and longs those are problems, right? That's why it's such a big deal. Third and long. Are you getting pressure? What are you going to do to overcome it? Are they going to be soft? Are they going to bring pressure? How are you going to handle it? Those are things that we're going to continue to work out, throughout the season to become better at those. But running the ball, I thought, although not stellar, was good. It was kind of by committee. I think we had 4 different players with 40-something yards rushing. And so, whereas those aren't light up the scoreboard numbers, it did show that, we can do what we plan on doing this year, which is run this thing as a team by committee. And as we get better execution-wise, I think those numbers will go up and our explosiveness will go up also. And when the run is working, of course, that, it's parity, right? So
Yep.
if they're really having to focus on stopping the run, it opens up the pass, it kills their pass rush a little bit, and it makes everything better. So we're going to really continue to work on becoming the rushing team that we want to be, so that we can be the explosive team that we want to be.
All right, you're 1-0. Your next game on the road against the Connolly team that you know well. Y'all played them last year. They're always athletic. They're always fast. When you look at the film, what are your thoughts on the Cadets?
Well, I mean, just what you said. They're fast. They move really well. They've got explosive skill guys. They got skill guys all over the field. I think they have 26 seniors on this team, so they're veteran. I don't think they're going to make a whole lot of rookie mistakes out there. I think they've been doing what they do for a while, so they're going to be pretty comfortable in it, and let their dudes go to work in space. And so that's going to be the challenge for us, is offensively and defensively getting blocks in space, making tackles in space, being able to match their overall team speed. They had great team speed overall. Last year in that loss, I think we gave up 2 or 3 scores essentially on special teams mistakes. And so that's an area where we know that's important every week, but especially when you play someone with very explosive players, that you shore that up and you don't allow them opportunities to hurt you with that.
Well, and you've talked about it, and we talked about it last year. They're on the schedule because of this speed. You're not going to see another team in the regular season, in my opinion, that's going to be as athletic as this Cadet team is.
That's right. And, I'm notorious for never saying no in preseason. When somebody calls and wants to play, yeah, let's do it. I think my coaching record would be a lot better if I said no a little bit. But, I believe my team is a playoff team. I believe this team has a chance to make a run. And I think I'd be doing them a disservice if we played teams that were not of good quality in the preseason and, didn't give ourselves an opportunity to see things that are difficult to defend, difficult to block, good teams, well-coached teams, like you're going to see when you get into the, second, third, fourth round of the playoffs. And so Coach Garrick and the Connolly Cadets, certainly fit that bill. They know what they're doing. They're really good at it, and they're very athletic. And so we need to be challenged. We need to be, exposed a little bit in the preseason of what we have to work on to become the best version of us. And so that's, iron sharpens iron, right? We got to run against people like this in order to be the best version of us.
Well, when you're showing film, or let me ask it to you like this: as a coach, are you the type of coach that just you show all the film to your kids, or do y'all select what y'all want to show them and kind of work them through those? How does that work with you on film study?
It's a mix, and so we're going to give them everything. Right? Here's their film. The cool thing, with that, is so much easier these days than it was, say 20 years ago. Kids being able to get on their iPads or whatever and look at it. They may find something that we haven't seen as a coaching staff, right? Because they're really hyper focused on their position or the guy across from them. And so they may find something during the week. So we go ahead and share everything. Now, we'll mix that up with, breaking it into formations or breaking it into situations. Here's your third down situations. Here's your and long situations. Here's your we're in a hurry up. Here's your short yardage, that kind of stuff, so that they can kind of compartmentalize and focus on the different situations that happen during the game. And so we'll give them film broken down into those categories so that they know kind of what to expect, or, an idea of what to expect in certain situations.
Here at L4 Media, we talk high school football, 4A, 3A, and 2A in Texas. We talk East Texas sports. We talk NFL, guy talk, movie and booze. We also talk wrestling and so much more. And you can see it all on our YouTube channel at L4 Media Company. Like and subscribe. Here at L4 Media, we talk high school football, 4A, 3A, and 2A in Texas. We talk East Texas sports. We talk NFL, guy talk, movie and booze. We also talk wrestling and so much more. And you can see it all on our YouTube channel at L4 Media Company. Like and subscribe. Terry Bennett back here on the Lago Vista Football Show. As always, of course, we want to thank Coach Phillips for joining us as he does each and every week. Want to remind you, if you have any questions, thoughts, or comments, all you have to do is email the show, terry@s2ssport.com. Just put Lago Vista in the on the title and ask away. You can ask a question for me or for Coach Phillips. You can also ask anything for the 4A show, Sideline to Sideline. If you haven't check that out, you should, as a Lago Vista fan, because we all feel that the Vikings are going to be playing for a long time this year in the playoffs. So get to know your opponents, as they say. You can find us on, of course, YouTube at L4 Media Company, or on our podcast platform, S2SGrantandTerry.com, or on all podcast platforms like Amazon and such. All you got to do is just type in Sideline to Sideline with Terry Bennett, and it'll pop up. All right, well, that's going to do it for this week. Until next week, this is the Lago Vista Football Show right here on L4 Media.